60 years ago, the world held its breath. On a July night in 1969, a voice crackled across radios. The Eagle has landed. Humanity had crossed the greatest distance ever traveled by our species. And for a brief moment, we were one. Yet, after Apollo 17, the final mission in 1972, the rockets fell silent. The flags faded beneath the dust. The moon became a memory, a ghost hanging above a world too busy with wars and politics to look up. For half a century, we stayed grounded. But the dream never died. In quiet labs, a new generation began to ask, why did we stop? The answer was simple and complicated all at once. Money, politics, risk. The cost of Apollo had been staggering, and the Cold War was won. With no enemy to beat, the race was over. Exploration without competition lost its urgency. But the 21st century changed everything. Climate change, resource scarcity, and technological revolution forced humanity to look beyond Earth once more. And so, silently, the moon waited for our return. By the early 2000s, new players entered the cosmic stage. Not governments, but visionaries. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, names once bound to earthly wealth now tied to the stars. Their companies, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, reignited the idea that space could belong to everyone, not just nations. Rockets became reusable. Launch costs fell by 90%. Suddenly, the moon was no longer a fantasy. It was a market. NASA saw an opportunity. In 2019, it announced the Artemis program, named after Apollo's twin sister, the goddess of the moon. The mission returned humans to the lunar surface by the mid-2020s and build a permanent presence there. We're not going back to plant flags, said NASA Administrator Bill Nelson. We're going to stay. Artemis is more than a program. It's a statement that America intends to lead again, not just visit. Artemis I proved the rocket works. Artemis 2 will carry humans around the moon. Artemis 3, the first human landing since 1972, will place the next man and the first woman on the lunar South Pole. Why the South Pole? Because it's the key. In those shadowed craters lies ice. Water frozen for billions of years. Water to drink, to breathe, to split into hydrogen fuel. Whoever controls the water controls the future. Around the moon, NASA will build the Lunar Gateway, a small station orbiting the moon, serving as a hub for missions to Mars. On the surface, Artemis Base Camp, with power modules, rovers, and habitats engineered to withstand weeks of darkness. The goal is not a visit, it's a settlement. And yet, every step NASA takes, another nation is watching. In 2004, while the U.S. was still recovering from the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, China launched its first human into space. Less than 2 decades later, it has its own space station, Tiangong, and an entire series of lunar missions called Chang'e. Chang'e 3 landed a rover in 2013. Chang'e 4 made history in 2019, the first landing on the moon's far side. Chang'e 5 brought samples back to Earth. Chang'e 6, 7, and 8 will prepare the ground for something greater. The International Lunar Research Station, the ILRS, led by China and Russia, is designed to be an autonomous base by 2035. Robots first, humans later. Solar farms, communication relays, and laboratories buried beneath the REGOLITH. China does not announce bold slogans. It moves quietly, methodically, but its trajectory is clear: to be first to live there permanently. When India's Chandrayaan-3 landed near the moon's south pole in 2023, it wasn't just a technical success. It was a symbol that innovation, doesn't need $1 billion budget. The Indian Space Research Organization spent less than $80 million, less than the cost of a Hollywood film, to achieve what many nations never could. With lightweight rockets, simplified designs, and relentless focus, India became the fourth country ever to land softly on the moon. ISRO's next goal, a lunar orbiter network and a joint mission with Japan. The LUPEX project, to study polar ice for India. It's not about domination. It's about proving that access to space can belong to the developing world too. While nations compete, Japan seeks to cooperate through JAXA and private companies like iSpace. It pioneers robotic landers and commercial cargo delivery to the moon. In 2025, its Hakuto mission will attempt another landing, joining NASA's Artemis coalition as a technology partner. Japan focuses on precision, miniaturization, and sustainability, qualities that turn small steps into giant leaps for long-term presence. Across continents, one truth emerges: the new space race is fought in labs and factories more than in launch pads. 3D printing for habitats, autonomous rovers that never sleep, nuclear microreactors for nighttime power, systems that map terrain and analyze samples faster than humans ever could. In China's Chongqing lab, robots mix simulated lunar soil to print bricks. In NASA's Marshall Center, engineers test oxygen extraction from regolith. Every experiment brings humanity closer to a permanent foothold. The moon is no longer a dead world. It's alive with plans, blueprints, and ambition. Today, two philosophies face each other across space. The Artemis Accords, open cooperation led by the United States, signed by over 30 nations. The ILRS Pact, a China-led coalition promising shared development under its own rules. Supporters of Artemis see it as a framework for responsible exploration. Critics call it a tool for Western dominance. ILRS advocates say it represents true multilateral science. Skeptics see it as a shadow empire under a different flag. Somewhere between these two visions lies the future of human space. The moon is once again a mirror, reflecting not just sunlight, but our rivalries, our fears, and our hopes. The first race to the moon was about who could go. The second is about who can stay. The rockets have launched, the flags are planted. But this is where the real challenge begins. Because landing on the moon was never the hard part. Staying there, that's the test of a civilization. The moon looks peaceful from Earth, glowing, calm, eternal. But up close, it's a battlefield of extremes. No air, no sound, no protection from radiation. Days that burn at 120 degrees Celsius. Nights that freeze to -170. A single grain of lunar dust can slice through metal. A single mistake can end a mission. Every 14 days of light are followed by 14 days of darkness. A place where time itself feels broken. To survive here, we must build a new kind of technology. Machines that breathe, habitats that think. Humans who adapt. Engineers are testing 3D printed bricks made from lunar soil. Robots are learning to build before humans arrive. Solar panels track light across endless plains. We are not visitors anymore. We are learning how to live on another world. On Earth, we built machines to make life easier. On the moon, we build them to make life possible. Artificial intelligence will be the first colonist. Autonomous drones map craters. AI rovers choose their own routes. Algorithms plan oxygen production, water extraction, and radiation shelters. These systems must think without us, because Earth is 3 seconds away by radio. And sometimes that's too late. In Houston, Beijing, and Bengaluru, Scientists feed millions of lines of code into virtual moons, simulations of dust, heat, and silence. Each run teaches the machines how to survive where humans can't. For the first time, our intelligence is leaving Earth before we do. Behind every rocket is an economy waiting to be born. The lunar gold rush is no longer science fiction. Private companies already compete for contracts to extract ice, process fuel, and build data relays between Earth and the Moon. Think of it: fuel depots on the lunar surface, cargo launches from Moon orbit instead of Earth's gravity well. A single liter of lunar fuel could save millions of dollars per mission. And then there's helium-3, an isotope rare on Earth, abundant on the Moon, capable of powering fusion reactors. 1 ton of helium-3 could generate energy worth $1 billion. Whoever controls the supply could change the global energy order. But economic frontiers bring political shadows. Nations call it exploration. Corporations call it opportunity. Historians might call it colonization. In 1967, the Outer Space Treaty declared no nation may claim sovereignty over the Moon. But the treaty was written before mining, before AI, before money reached orbit. Today, lawyers, diplomats, and scientists argue about ownership. If no one owns the Moon, can you own the ice you mine? Can you own the metal you refine? Can you sell oxygen to a nation that can't produce its own? The United States created the Artemis Accords, a set of principles for responsible exploration. Over 30 nations have signed it. China and Russia propose their own framework. The ILRS Charter to legal universes now orbit the same Moon. Somewhere in between lies the truth. Whether we will share the sky or divide it. Again, imagine living months without sunlight, breathing air made by machines, drinking water older than life itself. What does home mean when you can't see the blue sky? Psychologists call it planetary isolation syndrome, a condition that changes how we think, dream, and love. On the Moon, every heartbeat will be monitored. Every step recorded. Privacy is a luxury Earth taught us to expect. The Moon won't. Yet even in the cold, we will seek warmth. Families may form in domes. Children may learn that Earth is not up there, but over there. And perhaps one day, someone will ask, are they still human or something new? Every era has its explorers and its artists. As astronauts map craters, painters and musicians will translate the silence of space into art. Imagine a song recorded under 1/6 gravity, a poem written during a 14-day night, a sculpture made of lunar glass. The Moon will not just change technology, it will change culture itself. New myths will rise, stories not of gods who descend, but of humans who ascend. The Moon is a test, a training ground for the next frontier. Mars, Europa, Titan. To go beyond, we must first master what is close. Each launch from the Moon teaches us how to live without Earth's cradle. Each failure reminds us how fragile we are. One day, our descendants may stand on Mars and look back not at Earth, but at the Moon as their origin. The Moon will become our second home. Mars, our next adventure. And somewhere far beyond, the echo of this race will still be heard. We go to the Moon not to escape Earth, but to understand it. From that distance, borders disappear, races, religions, and wars become invisible. All that remains is a blue sphere, fragile, beautiful, alive. And suddenly you realize, we were never meant to conquer the universe. We were meant to belong to it. The first race to the Moon taught us how to reach. The second will teach us how to stay. This is the story of humanity written in dust, but aimed at the stars. We are not returning to the Moon to conquer it. But to understand ourselves, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.